If you've been paying attention to college football, you already know the biggest story of the year. It's not Georgia's dynasty, it's not Alabama's struggles, it's Coach Prime at Colorado. Let me be clear, Deion Sanders did not just take over Colorado, he took over college football. From a 1-11 disaster to national relevance in less than a year, from zero hype to selling out stadiums, flipping top recruits, and shattering TV ratings. He's making the old school coaches uncomfortable. He's rewriting the playbook on recruiting, and he's proving that college football is not just about wins and losses, it is about business. So how did he do it? How did he take one of college football's most struggling programs and turn it into the biggest show in sports? And most importantly, where does he go from here? Deion Sanders has always been larger than life. Whether he was locking down receivers in the NFL, stealing bases in Major League Baseball, or dancing into the end zone with a swagger no one else could match, he was never just another athlete. He was a phenomenon. The man wasn't just playing the game, he has been redefining it his entire life. Now he's doing the same thing from the sidelines. When Sanders took the head coaching job at Jackson State in 2020, plenty of people rolled their eyes. He had no college coaching experience, no years spent grinding as an assistant, no history of, quote, paying his dues, which has usually been important in college football. But here's the thing, when you're Deion Sanders, the rules don't apply the same way. He didn't just take the job, he flipped the script on college football. Jackson State, a historically black college or HBCU, wasn't exactly a powerhouse when he arrived. They hadn't had a player drafted to the NFL in 12 years. The facilities were below high school standards in some areas, and the program had talent but lacked national attention. That changed overnight when Deion Sanders came to town. Sanders didn't just bring in top recruits, he brought in money, sponsors, media attention, and a whole new level of expectation. Jackson State games, which once had empty seats, were now selling out overnight. Major brands like Pepsi, American Airlines, and Procter & Gamble lined up to invest in a program they had ignored for decades. And for the first time, an HBCU coach wasn't just talking about competing, he talked about dominating. And guess what? He delivered on just that. In just 3 seasons, Sanders led Jackson State to a 27-6 record, including an undefeated regular season in 2022. He recruited Travis Hunter, the #1 recruit in the country, flipping him from powerhouse Florida State to an HBCU, something that had never, ever been done before. He sent players to the NFL, reignited national conversations about black colleges, and made sure the world was watching at every turn. But Deion Sanders isn't the type to stay in one place for too long. In December 2022, Colorado, a program that just went 1-11 the previous season, came calling. They weren't just offering him a coaching job. They were offering him a blank slate, a challenge, and a chance to change the game once again and do it his own way. And if you thought he would take things slow, well, you don't know Coach Prime. Let's get something straight. College football has never seen a head coach come in and take over a program the way Deion Sanders has at Colorado. Sure, plenty of coaches have rebuilt struggling teams. Plenty have gone from bad to good, but no one has done it this fast, this loudly, or most importantly, this unapologetically. Most new coaches show up and talk about trust the process. They take a few seasons to evaluate their roster, slowly bring in their own recruits, hope for a turnaround in 3 to 5 years while they build their own culture. That's how things are supposed to go. But Deion Sanders, he doesn't do waiting. He doesn't do slow. He walked into that first team meeting at Colorado and flipped the entire program upside down. He sat in front of a team of players who had just suffered through a 1-11 season and told them straight up, a lot of you are not going to be here. And he meant it. Through the transfer portal, Sanders turned over more than 80% of the roster, something that's never been done in modern college football. He didn't just make a few tweaks, he cleaned house completely. By the time fall camp rolled around, 57 new players had joined the team. 57. That's more than an entire recruiting class. It's more than most teams add in 2 or 3 years. To put that in perspective, most first-year coaches keep at least half of the existing roster and slowly bring in their own guys. Not Sanders. His message was clear. If you're not good enough, you are gone. If you don't love football, you're gone, and if you don't want to work, you are gone. Of course, the old school coaches hated this. They called it unfair. They called it ruthless. They said it was bad for the game. But let's be honest, college football has never been about fairness. It's been about who can recruit the best players, who can coach them up, and who can win the fastest. The difference? Most coaches pretend it's about something else, about loyalty, tradition, or building a family. Sanders tells the truth. He came to Colorado to win, not to babysit, and not to waste time. If you think this was just about cleaning house, think again. Sanders wasn't just cutting players. He was bringing in the best talent in the country. country. He landed 5-star cornerback / wide receiver Travis Hunter, Mr. Do-It-All, the best recruit in the nation, who followed him from Jackson State. He added Deion Sanders, his son and star quarterback, who had already proven himself as one of the top young passers in college football. He brought in top-tier talent from Alabama, Florida State, Michigan, and dozens of other big-name pros. But talent is not the only thing that matters in today's game. This isn't 1995. Players aren't just choosing schools based on the coaching staff, facilities, or even the chance to win a championship. Now it's also about money. The NIL era has changed everything. Players can now legally make money off their brand. This means sponsorships, endorsements, social media deals, and partnerships. And while most coaches are still figuring out how to navigate this, Deion Sanders has already mastered it. Why? Well, Sanders is a brand expert. He understands how to sell a product, how to build an image, and how to get people talking better than anyone. And in today's college football landscape, a coach who can market his players is just as valuable as a coach who can draw up plays. Just look at what he's done in less than a year. Deion Sanders, Colorado's quarterback, has an NIL valuation of $4.8 million. Travis Hunter, Colorado's two-way star, is also in the top 10 for NIL earnings. The Colorado football team saw merchandise sales jump 892% year over year. That's insane. Their games became must-watch TV, pulling in 10 million viewers against Oregon, one of the highest-rated games of the season. And it's not just about big-name guys. Sanders has made it clear to every recruit in the country, if you play for Coach Prime, you're not just playing football, you are building a brand. That's why his players have their Instagram handles on their practice jerseys. Think about that. While other coaches are worried about players being distracted by social media, Sanders is teaching them how to use it to their advantage. If you're a 5-star recruit looking for NFL exposure and financial opportunities, where are you going? You're going to go to a coach who wants to keep you under the radar for 3 years, or to a coach who will make you a superstar the moment you step on campus? The answer is obvious, and that's why for the first time in decades, Colorado is competing for top recruits against Bama, Georgia, and Ohio State. Before Sanders arrived, Colorado was irrelevant. Let's not sugarcoat it. They hadn't been a serious contender in 20 years. Their stadium wasn't full. Their games were not getting any national attention. But now, every home game is sold out. Celebrities are showing up every week. The Rock, Lil Wayne, Kevin Garnett, Warren Sapp, The Baby, and more. Networks are fighting to cover their games. Even the city of Boulder, which is only 1.3% black, has turned into a cultural epicenter for black college football fans. That's what happens when Coach Prime takes over. And if you think this is just about the hype, think again. The reason Colorado is on top of the college football world isn't just because Sanders is a big name, it's because he's winning. For decades, college football has been controlled by a group of elite programs. If you were a top recruit, you only had a few choices: Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, Penn State, USC, the blue bloods of college football. Why? Because those schools had the best resources, the best facilities, and the best track record of putting players in the NFL. But Deion Sanders is destroying that model. For the first time, top recruits are considering a different path. Not because they want to go to an underdog school, not because they're trying to make a statement, but because Deion Sanders is giving them everything the big schools offer and more. If you're a 5-star athlete, you want to go to the NFL as fast as possible, but at schools like Alabama or Georgia, you might not even see the field for 2 years. At Colorado, if you're good enough, you play immediately. And not only that, Sanders knows exactly what it takes to get to the NFL. He played at the highest level. He's coached players who made it, and he's bringing in NFL-level training, coaching, and mentorship. Let's talk about something that doesn't get talked about enough. College football has been dominated by white head coaches for decades, even though 70% of the players are black. Meanwhile, only 10% of FBS head coaches are black. Sanders is changing that narrative. He's proving that black head coaches can lead, they can recruit, and they can win at the highest level. He's proving that top black athletes don't need to rely on the same old school coaches to make it to the next level. And the traditional powers, they are terrified. Because if Deion Sanders succeeds at Colorado, it won't just be one school that changes. It will be the entire landscape of college football. And guess what? He is already winning. So what's next? Right now, Sanders is focused on Colorado. But let's be honest, he's not going to be there forever. Could he take this program to the top and make it a perennial powerhouse? Absolutely, but there's always going to be a bigger opportunity, and Deion loves big opportunities. That brings us to the NFL. Sanders has been vocal. He doesn't want to coach in the NFL. He doesn't like the idea of managing millionaires who don't love the game. He doesn't have the patience for guys who coast on talent without putting in the work. But there's one job that might change that: the Dallas Cowboys. Think about it. He's a Cowboys legend. Jerry Jones loves big personalities. And if things ever go south for Mike McCarthy, who better to step in and revive America's team than Coach Prime? It might not happen this year or next, but make no mistake, Sanders is not done shocking the world. Coach Prime is shaking up college football, flipping the power structure and making the old school coaches sweat. Whether he stays at Colorado, moves on to another powerhouse, or even takes a shot at the NFL, one thing is clear, he is not done yet. So if you want to keep up with all the game-changing moves, the controversies, the Prime effect as it continues to unfold, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown like this. Trust me, you're going to want to see what happens next, because with Coach Prime, the story is just getting started.